Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Little Likac Podcast, episode 89. My name is Amanda and I'm coming to you from Derby in the United Kingdom. Welcome. So, today is a Saturday, the 22nd, Saturday the 22nd of March. And it is early in the morning, 9:20, which is relatively early for a Saturday morning, 9:20 in the morning, and I am filming this in the house, but I've changed the angle that I'm at so that I've got the windows in front of me, because sometimes I sit over there, which means I've got the light on one side of my face. And I'm conscious of it reflecting in my glasses, so I'll try and sit in a way. So apologies for the rather boring background. You can see into my kitchen there and a table here. So if I make this my usual place to film, I think I'll try and do something there so it's a little bit more attractive rather than just that pile of stuff. Anyway, so yes, welcome to my podcast. This is a little bit later than I normally film. I should have filmed this a week ago. Last weekend I was due to film, but due to some very, very sad family circumstances, which I may or may not go into, I don't know yet. But yes, due to some very sad family circumstances, I wasn't able to film last weekend, and the last week, 10 days, things have been different around here. And I felt able to film today, and I want to show you progress on things and try and get back into some kind of normal routines. And some things don't change anyway. I've been at school this week. I did have a day or two off the week before last, and then I've been at school this week at work. My husband has been off, and anyway, let's talk about nice happy things, because that's what I want to do this morning. So let's start with what I'm wearing. I am wearing the Moon Glade tee, which is a beautiful tee top using 4-ply or fingering weight yarn, and it's designed by Kelly from Roro and Cade's, and it is a beautiful pattern. You have got lacework on the shoulders, as you can see here. No lace the rest of it until you get down to the body, at the bottom of the body, and then there's the repeat of this lace around the bottom of the body. Don't plan on showing you that right now, because you don't need a close-up of my stomach, etc. But it is very pretty. And I knitted this in my own yarn using my Premier silk. It was actually silk singles, so it was 75% merino wool, 25% mulberry silk in 4-ply singles. Okay, so what have I got to show you today? I have got a finished object, a half-finished object, some whips, and sort of a new cast on. It really isn't a lot of that done. Okay, so yes, let's start with the finished object. Let's do this in a traditional way, finished object. And my finished object is a baby blanket that I've been working on for a colleague. Ta-da! So this is crochet, as you may be able to tell, and the pattern is the 12-point star baby blanket by Bella Coco. You can see last time I was up to here, my alpaca stitch marker, and so I've done all of that. In fact, I had this finished about 10 days ago, because I was going to show it last weekend. It was ready to show last weekend. As I say, though, I didn't film. So it's been finished. I knitted this using Sirdar Snuggly baby yarn. Now, in theory, the yarn I'd got was supposed to be DK weight, but it was actually, when Sirdar did an offer last year, they had a whole load of, how do you describe it? They had a whole load of kind of seconds quality yarn that was either, they said maybe it had more knots in it than usual, or the colour wasn't quite right, or the weight wasn't quite right. So I ordered a whole load of it, and you got it as like mystery boxes, and it was £1 a ball. So the actual quality of the yarn is just the same as it would usually be. It's still beautifully soft, etc. But when my DK arrived, it was very thin, very thin. It was more like sport weight to 4-ply. So I held it double. Holding it double takes it to more like worsted weight. So yes, so I held it double and it has worked really beautifully. And it also meant, I think this ended up being about 1400 metres as well. So that was more out of my stash. Oh yeah, I'll try and give you some stash updates for February actually, because I don't think I've done that. Yeah, I'll have to pause the video later and check on my spreadsheet. Yeah, so anyway, so it's gorgeous. I'm really pleased with it. My colleague does not know what type of baby she's having, what gender. So this is nice and neutral. And I also, oh, hang on. I also picked up in Morrison's the other day this little cute little sort of lovey comforter, which has got very similar colours. This was from Morrison's, and I thought that is going to go beautifully with that. So I'm going to get that packaged up, and oh, I've just seen there's a bit of an end that needs trimming there. Sort that. So yeah, my plan is to get that parcelled up and given to my friend at work this week. So let's take that stitch marker out as well, because we want to make sure that that doesn't get left attached. So now I've shown you guys, I can get this taken into work. In theory, she is staying in school for the next few weeks, I think, till the end of this term, but you know, babies sometimes come early, don't they? So I'd like to get that gifted to her. Yeah, so that's my first finished object. In fact, actually, that's my only complete finished object. The next thing I've got to show you is a half finished object. And you know, when a podcaster says they've got a half FO or a hoe, we all know that usually 90% of the time will probably mean one sock. I guess it could mean one half of a pair of mittens or gloves, but I think most of the time you know it's going to be socks, don't you? And there's no change here. Okay, so this is the sock yarn that I pulled out at the beginning of the month for my Socksy and You Know It make along, and it is the March socks, and so yes, I have one sock completed. Ta-da! So literally, I hadn't even cast this on when I podcast last on which was I think the 1st of March, because I think I opened the parcel, the actual yarn, on the podcast. So I hadn't even cast it on. So this is how it is striping. Now what I have done with this yarn is, after I had done the heel flap, before I started the gusset, so I did the heel flap in this sort of pinky cream colour, and then a bit of heel on the green, and then because the way the legs, the stripes work on the legs are quite thick stripes, and I thought if I carry on now and doing the gusset in that green, it's going to skip out the cream altogether, only have a thin stripe of the green, and then goes back into that dark green. So I actually wound off, because also I'm not too fussed about saving half a ball of this to do something else with. So I wound it off and made sure then that I went back to the cream, so that in the actual leg, or the foot and the leg, the stripes weren't disturbed. I mean, yes, that cream there is a little bit thinner because obviously it had to go over more stitches going over the gusset, but I think generally speaking it looks fine. You're not going to notice. So yeah, so I have done that. So I have wound off, and then when I got to the end, again I had to wind off again so that I could get back to the green for the second sock. So yeah, I have got quite a few little balls of two stripes and things like that, which you never know, they may get put into some scrappy socks. Every year I say I'm going to do some scrappy socks and I never do. Maybe next year I'll do a make along for scrappy socks. So yes, this is how far I've got on the second sock. So what have we got? It is the 22nd today, so I've got about 10 days to finish this pair, so that's not going to be any hassle. Probably have that finished in the next couple of days, really, if I'm honest. So the colourway that I'm using, the yarn that I'm using, so I've got lots of little balls of it in there where I've wound bits off. It is Stylecraft Head Over Heels. So Stylecraft's Head Over Heels in the colourway Vixen, so it is a Christmas colourway. It is 75% superwash wool, 25% nylon, and I think these are just going to be a fairly, I don't think they're going to be like my favourite pair of socks, a favourite Christmas pair, but they will be just a kind of standard pair of socks that I'll wear occasionally, or I don't know. But this is why I'm doing this sock along, really, is to use up balls of yarn that some of them don't really spark a huge amount of joy in me, but they will just be a good solid pair of socks. Don't get me wrong, it's not like I dislike it. If I disliked it, it wouldn't have gone in at all, but it's just, it doesn't excite me. So they're just good knitting though to do, like, I don't know, when you're watching a film, in the car, things like that. So get those finished in the next couple of days, I expect. Now the next sort of finished objects I've got for you, this is again where they are part of a bigger project. And so these are the squares that I have been crocheting using my mystery club yarn. This is from the Little Likac Mystery Club, which is Agatha Christie themed based. And these are the February squares. Now I think last time you saw these I had done maybe 2 of them. I don't think I've done all 4. So these were the February squares. And the February, the book for February was The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. So here are my 4 crochet squares. Really pleased with these. So what you had this for this month was you had the pinky salmony colour and then 2 shades of blue, a paler blue and a slightly darker blue, and the darker blue was a little bit more variegated. I have got a few little leftovers. I think leftovers I've got about 3 grams of each. So I'm not quite sure what they might go into my triangulum blanket potentially. I don't know. No, they won't because they're DK weights. But I don't know. Don't know what to do with them. Anyway, so here we are. Those 4 squares. Now I haven't started on March's squares yet. And if you have got the Little Likac March the March Mystery Club, and for whatever reason you're not opening them yet, I know there's a couple of people who are saving them all. They're getting the minis and they're saving them for Advent. So I'm going to show the minis, and then I'll also show you the full DK skein for March as well. So yeah, look away if you don't want to see the minis for March. The colourway for March was based around Murder on the Orient Express. Think for a second there. And these are the 3 colours that were in the minis. So I'm not even going to say out loud what colours they are in case somebody has looked away, but I've taken them off screen now. So those are the 3 colours, so they need winding up and starting to crochet those squares into my blanket, for my blanket. The pattern that I'm using is called the Willow square from a book which I haven't got to hand. Oh, hang on, yes I have, hang on. It's from this book, 200 Crochet Blocks. For Blanket Sews and Afghans by Jan Eaton, and it is called the Willow Square. That one there. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how those are coming out. Getting quicker making them, and yeah, so I'm excited to put these 3 colours in. And then I'll just quickly show you. So the full skein for March was, the full skein you could order 100 gram DK weight or fingering weight. The DK weight is 85% merino, 15% nylon, so it's the luxury base. It's so soft, it's so lovely. So again, look away if you don't want a spoiler on this. So that was the colourway for the 100 grams, and you also got, as the little extras, again look away if you don't want to see, you got this stitch marker which my husband made. Isn't it amazing? Absolutely fabulous. And then you got this, and inside here, because if you remember, as I say, it's based around Murder on the Orient Express, so I thought this was quite cute to go with that. And then you got one of those in there. So I'm deliberately not saying any of it in case anybody doesn't want to actually know what it is, in case they've got it packed away. Although I am going to say you might want to get out the little extra because I don't know that will last till Christmas. And you also get, with this mini club, I also write a little story that a very silly, not brilliantly written, but I write a little mini mystery story as well, kind of Agatha Christie cozy mystery style as well. And funnily enough, the March on Murder on the Orient Express was set on a train as well, and had one of these as part of the story. So yeah, it all links together. So April is up on the Etsy shop, and April's book that it's based on is 3-Act Tragedy. So I finished reading that, and yeah, I've put up the listing on the Etsy shop. So yeah, if you go for the mini skeins, you get 3 mini skeins, 20 grams. If you go for the full skein, you get 100 gram skein. And then, as you see, you get a few little extras as well. Okay, so let me have a little bit more coffee. I'm going to show you this mug. I know I've shown it before, but it is so beautiful. Knitting is my happy place, and this is exclusive to a shop in Leek in Staffordshire. The mug is made by Moreland's Pottery, and they've got Knitting is my happy place, Crochet is my happy place. I think they might have a couple of others. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so next we are going to, well, we'll have a quick look at the colourwork vest top that I have been working on. Haven't done very much in the last 3 weeks, but I know when I showed this last month, I don't think I even really went through what wool I was using or anything like that, so I'm going to quickly do that. This is absolutely beautiful. Again, it hasn't had a lot of work on it the last few weeks, partly because I decided to pick out another project that I wanted to try and get finished. So I will be showing that in a bit. Not a finished object, so I haven't got it finished, but it's getting there. And partly, yeah, I just find that after work in the evenings, my brain is a bit too tired for colour work at the moment. So, I mean, look at it, it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But you can see that's all I've done since the last time I showed you. So perhaps I should set myself a bit of an aim to get a bit more done before the next couple of weeks. I think that, well, I was going to say there's part of me thinking that I could get more of it done during the Easter holidays, although I'm going to show another project in a minute that I'm also going to say I want to get this finished during the Easter holidays. So mind you, that could work. This could be the complicated one where I've got a bit of brain space, and the other one potentially will be the mindless one, so maybe. So it is absolutely beautiful, so I really do want to do it, but yet whenever I actually think about doing it, I seem to not want to do it. I think I just because I worry about making mistakes. So the wool that I'm using is Wensleydale Longwool, and it's from the Wensleydale Longwool sheep shop, which is in Yorkshire. I bought this yarn and this pattern, Buxton Wool Show, last spring. Wensleydale sheep produce the finest and most valuable luster long wool in the world. It is absolutely beautiful. It is quite soft. I wouldn't describe it in rough in any way, but you can feel the fibres in it, if that makes sense. So the colours I have got, this one is Mizzle. This is Aubergine. This was, I think it's marshmallow. Let me just, yeah, marshmallow. And this is hot pink. Now, a bit worryingly, the pattern doesn't seem to be in here. Now, that does worry me. Hang on, I think I've seen it. I was going to say I was a bit more concerned then that my husband's done some tidying up for me. But I think I can see it. Bear with me. So now I'm worried that my husband has put the pattern away. There's another excuse not to do it for a while. Hang on. Okay, well, we're going to have to get looking for that, aren't we? The pattern is called the Nancy Vest. Oh dear. Oh dear, 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 dear. Let's hope I can find it. If not, I wonder if I can buy an electronic copy. Because that's the thing, it was a paper copy that I bought a paper copy of, and this is why I like electronic versions of things, because then I don't lose them. Oh, I'm going to be constantly distracted now, aren't I? Scanning around the room. Anyway, okay. So, instead of working on that, I pulled out a hibernating whip. And I have made really good progress on this. So let me show you this. Now, this is one of the 12 cast-ons, but it's from one of the 12 cast-ons from 2023/24. And in fact, I've actually got on here, it was cast on New Year's Eve, 31st of December 2023. So, it is the Lime Wash Shawl, which is a design by Penny of Penny Bacon Knits. And it is a really lovely, unusual design. And I've done a lot on this since you last saw it. So you can see the progress keeper. That's where I was last time you saw it. Not sure when that was, maybe somewhere around Christmas. I think I did dig it out around Christmas time. So let's move the stitch marker. There are a couple of mistakes I've seen in this recently along the central double decrease in the middle, but I can't, when I realised I don't know how many rows past it, and with it being the central double decrease, I couldn't just drop it down to fix that one stitch, so I'm just leaving it. I'm at a point now where what you do on each row is you're kind of shifting the stitches. So the coloured bit gets shorter and the grey bit, the main colour, gets longer. So that's where I'm at, and I keep going until basically all of the stitches will have shifted over to just the grey. So I'm not much sure how much further that will actually be. I've only just started the second ball of the grey. I'll show you what that is in a minute, and I've got loads left of the different stripes. So let's just quickly talk about the wool. The grey, so this is a DK pattern. The grey is West Yorkshire Spinner, the Croft, 100% Shetland wool. The colourway for this is Clate. And then I have 3 balls of this tweed. So when I picked this, I picked the yarn in October 2023, so it was autumn, so I very much went with autumn colours. So it's Sirdar Head tweed. Not sure if I've got all the colour numbers. So we have heathered bilberry, heathered bilberry for that one. Rydale russet for that one. I have a feeling that I've lost the other little tag that tells me the colour for that. It will be on my Ravelry page. So yeah, I've started the second ball of this, so it'll be interesting to see how much. Obviously, as the rows go on anyway, it's going to be using more and more of the grey. So I've got plenty. I think I'm going to have at least half a ball of each of the tweeds left over. So working on that, has now become a fairly mindless knit. I just have to remember what to do at the end of each row, and that's the same every time. So yeah, that's, again, I'm hopeful I will get that finished in the next couple of weeks. It will be, I think then that will be the last of the 12 cast-ons from 2 years ago. There's one that's going to be frogged, which was the Rocket Tee. The colours that I chose for it just don't work together, so I do need to frog that at some point. I've also been putting a lot of time still. Oh, hang on. That's the thing, isn't it? You start to get itchy eyes when I podcast. Usually I think because I'm pulling wool in and out of bags and the fibres start to fly around. Yeah, so another project I've been putting a lot of work into is the Mystical Lanterns blanket. This was one of the 12 cast-ons, in fact the first 12 cast-on of this year. I cast this on Christmas Eve 2024. It's a crochet project. If you don't know the pattern, it's called Mystical Lanterns, and it's by Janie Crow, who is a prolific crochet designer, particularly blankets. I think that's what she's kind of most famous for. And she has done the Persian Tiles blanket. I don't know what a lot of them are called. The Mystical Lanterns one, though, was one that I've looked at lots of times and thought was really lovely. And I bit the bullet and got out a load of stash yarn, and I'm just using loads of DK acrylic, mostly Stylecraft Special DK, which is a classic one a lot of crocheters use, and then also just threw in part balls of other colours that I've got, so it's a real mixture. And let me just show you a few more strips that I've done. I have only got 2 more strips of these to make, and then I've got some half lanterns to make that go on the end of some of the strips. But just to give you a flavour of, of my colours. So, so that's one strip. And, oh, excuse me. So I think I have done in total 13 strips, and I've got to do 15. So as you crochet each one, it's almost like a bit like a granny square, but obviously in this style. And then when you get to the end of one, you then attach it to the next one, and then you do another one and then attach it to the next one. And it's just going to be gorgeous, even if I say so myself. So just hold up. So it'll tessellate. So it will tessellate, and I'm really excited to put it together. I'm not going to, I've deliberately not started putting it together, because I do want to, when I've got all 15 rows completed, or strips completed, I want to then lay it out, play around with it till I'm happy, because I don't want to end up with a cluster of very dark colours all in a patch or something like that. And then I'll number them, so I know what order I'm putting them together, and then I'll start crocheting them together. Now this was the other project that I'm saying I was hoping I might actually get done by the end of April, because, as I say, I haven't got that many of the actual lanterns left to make, and then it's crocheting it together. I know it looks like I've got loads and loads of ends. I haven't really, because I have been crocheting over them as I go. What I just need to do is trim them, but for some reason I always put off trimming them. These ends will need trimming, but again, what I plan to do is when I'm crocheting the blocks together, I'm hoping that I will be able to again crochet over at least some of them and trim them off then. So that's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. Okay. Okay, we're all right with that. So yeah, I have been working on these like crazy. On average, I've been doing one a day. There's been a couple of days this week when I didn't get any done, but last weekend I think I did about 8 in one day because I needed something that I could just repeat and not think about. So the colours, although it may look like it's fairly random, what I did do originally though was I picked out a whole load. There's a lot of green, there's a lot of different greens in here, but I picked out a whole load put together that I did feel went together, even though there's a couple of almost slightly random, like this bright lime green. There were a couple that I just put in as these are my kind of pop colour, and I feel that it's worked really well. Because sometimes I pull one out and I kind of go, oh, I don't know if that's going to go, and then actually I could put it in and go, yeah, I really like those. So, you know, to be fair, I originally chose colours that I thought would go, and I'm really pleased with how it's coming out. So yeah, I have got 2 bags like this now, because one bag, the strips, there are some, you do some strips of one number. It's a paid for pattern, so I'm trying to be a little bit vague. You do some strips of a different number. So I've now got 2 bags like this. And I'm really looking forward to sewing them crocheting them together. I'm going to be crocheting them, hopefully. The plan is that I'm going to use a dark purple to crochet them together. I'm hoping that darker colour is going to work. So I have got one more whip to show you, and then the very beginnings of a new cast on, and I don't know if this new cast on is going to continue or not, but let me show you my last whip then. So the last podcast was, I focused quite heavily on knitting socks for my husband and buying yarn for my husband's socks, and so this is the pair of socks that I'm working on for him. And as you can see, I am nearly down to the toe. So once I've finished my March socks, I will get this one finished. That will be the next sock project. So I will, by the end of March, I'll definitely have this first sock of his finished, and will have started, I will have at least cast on the second sock. Absolutely love how this is knitting up. So does he, so I really must work on it. I don't know why I haven't got it in the cozy, the needle cozy. The colourway that I'm using is West Yorkshire Spinner Mallard, and also West Yorkshire Spinner Amber, and the two combined together are fabulous. Absolutely love that. He's really, he really likes the combination as well. So I just need to get on with them and get them finished really. But there's always so much to do, isn't there? And I have been a bit restless. I have found it difficult to focus on very much. So I am going to just quickly explain what's happened in the last 10 days. Because I think I have told you in the past about my father-in-law when he has been ill or when he has been in hospital, because over the last, I've been podcasting now for 4 years, I think. In fact, I think it'll be my 4th anniversary next month. And in that time that we have had a few scares with his health. My father-in-law, I was going to say was one of the bravest people I know and an absolute fighter. And he has had a lot of health issues for the last, well, all the time I've been married to my husband, 30 years. He's had loads of health issues, and he absolutely never let any of them beat him. He would be, something would happen and he was losing his eyesight. He did lose his eyesight pretty much, like 95%. But before his eyesight got any worse, he started painting. And he was having to get that close to the to the canvas to be able to see, and he painted some beautiful pictures until he could no longer paint. He learnt how to use a computer. He had the font size as big as he could, so he could do all sorts of things on the computer. He would design birthday cards, Christmas cards, things like that, because he learnt how to do that on the computer. He was having problems with his breathing, and the doctor gave him some breathing exercises, so he learnt how to play the flute, because playing the flute was good for his breathing. I think he heard somebody, so he used YouTube and online videos to learn how to play the flute, until he couldn't play the flute anymore. And that's just the man he was. About 3 years ago, he knew that he was getting weaker with his lungs and things. He had this ambition that he wanted to walk up Snowdon. So my husband, one of my daughters, and some other family members, they walked up Snowdon with him. It took them 2 attempts, because the first attempt they got halfway up and the weather conditions were terrible and they had to turn back down. So they did it again, and they did it and he got to the top, and then he got the train back down. So Snowdon is a mountain in Wales if you're not in the UK. So that's the kind of man he was. And just over a week ago, we got told that he'd been taken into hospital. And I know it sounds awful, but there was part of me that was oh, okay, because he was in hospital in January and he came back out. And in fact, when he came out in January, he was so much better. So we weren't concerned straight away. And then we realised, we needed to be concerned, and we luckily got over to see him. And so yes, so my father-in-law passed, and it leaves a very big hole in our family. Obviously my children, his granddaughters, they both came home, and we spent some time with their grandmother, and it's just been hard. I think at the moment it's just hard to accept it's happened, because like I've just said, he would always get over everything and anything, so it's kind of hard to realise that this has happened. So anyway, I don't want to bring anybody down, and there's so much positive to celebrate in that man's life, which we will be doing, but I have just found it quite difficult to focus on things. Having said that, last weekend I did do the Mother's Day boxes. I had plans for doing other things as well, but I just did that because they'd got a deadline. I didn't want to let anybody down. So the Mother's Day boxes were all dyed up, and I am going to be blowing my own trumpet here. Actually, they are beautiful. For me, I feel like they're one of the best colour ways I've done. Absolutely love it. So those boxes have been packed and gone out. There are maybe about 6 boxes left in the shop. So yes, and then tomorrow I plan on doing some dyeing, because we've got the Sodbury Yarn Over show coming up in 2 weeks' time. So I will be dyeing, 3 weeks. So I'll be dyeing tomorrow, getting some colours done, and then getting ready for Sodbury Yarn Over. And this afternoon my husband and I, we are going to go down to the Staffordshire showground, where there is a UK or British alpaca show. And again, if you are a regular viewer, you will know I have got a real soft spot for alpacas. Absolutely love them. And my husband said, look, there is an alpaca show going on not that far from us. He happens to actually know somebody who's going to be showing some alpacas there. And he said, do you want to go? And I was like, yes, let's do it. Because you can't be sad if you're surrounded by alpacas. That's my theory. So we are going to that alpaca show this afternoon. I am hoping that there will be a yarn stall. My guess will be that the UK alpaca, there'll be a UK alpaca will stand there. That's what I'm hoping. And so yes, I will take some video while we're down there. Hopefully I will get some video of alpacas, and maybe if I buy anything, I'll pop a little bit at the end of the video showing what I've bought, if I have bought anything. And also talking about alpacas, when I'm at the Sodbury Yarn Over show, I don't know if you remember, last year my stand was right by the door that led out to the alpacas. I'm in the same place again, so I'm going to be able to see the alpacas. I'll be able to look out the door and see those alpacas again like I did last year, so very excited about that. We love alpacas. If I could, if we lived, if we had the room, the space, the availability, I would have alpacas, love them. Anyway, so yeah, so that is what's been going on here. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the lovely comments. Thank you for those of you who buy the yarn, amazing. If you don't buy my yarn, no problem, but even if you just go onto the Etsy shop and favourite the shop and like a few items on there, if you on Etsy, if you go on and you sort of heart, like, favourite some items, it still just pushes the algorithm. So, you know, anything like that's amazing. But honestly, I really, really appreciate every like, comment, thumbs up on the videos, all of those things that just help this little business. You may have seen on Instagram as well, I put up a post this week because when I unpacked the yarn last weekend to do the club dyeing, that was the biggest yarn order I had ever made, and to be in a position to be able to order that amount of yarn is a testament really to how well the business has been going this year. So a huge thank you, because you know, that's kind of living the dream, isn't it, that you're actually able to you know, it's not a full-time business, it's not a business I can use to support myself yet. Maybe it will grow into that, but it is running as a business, as a small business, and I really appreciate that. So thanks very much, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye.